ladies, gents, and bereaved husbands. Today we're going to take a thorough look at The Way, developed by Puzzling Dreams and released in April of 2016. Strictly speaking, The Way is a pixel art 2D puzzle platformer, and a solid one at that, but the pigeonholing in such a way seems fundamentally unfair. When I think about this game, the first thing that always comes to mind is the story. The format for these videos is to tell you about the game, about the good and the bad, and then conclude with the reasons why I finished it. With The Way though, the reason why I finished it comes first. I finished The Way because of how it starts. This game has the most compelling opening I've experienced in a very long time, and I would like to share it with you in its entirety. If this hooked you as hard as it did me, I advise you to stop watching right now and go experience the rest for yourself. I would have probably played the whole thing even if the rest was crap, simply on the merits of this opening alone. Thankfully though, it's not crap at all. This is a good, challenging puzzle platformer with some cool, if at times frustrating mechanics, and a beautiful story. And if you're an old geezer like me, it will remind you of Another World, Flashback, and all those other 2D oldies in the vein of the old school Prince of Persia. Death will come quickly and extremely often. To the puzzle's credits though, they are all integrated into the game world, and most take the guise of weird alien technology that you have to fix or figure out. Go ahead and play it, I'll wait. Depending on how good you are, it will take you 6 to 8 hours to complete. The rest of the video will contain spoilers for both the plot and some of the puzzles. So, does the story hold up after such a strong opening? Oh, it certainly does, although it's doled out only as fast as you can complete the puzzles and the platforming gauntlets. Let me tell you about it. Our bereaved hero, Major Tom, goes into what I assume is his old employer's facility and braves through their dastardly security system to steal his old ship. After loading his wife Popsicle into the cargo bay, our hero takes off for a distant planet, where his team of researchers worked for a very long time studying the ruins of an old civilization. Like we saw in the opening, Tom is kept at it long after he returned from the failed expedition, and is convinced that this ancient technology might be able to bring his wife back to life. He lands upon the planet, fights off murderous alien wildlife, and finds a hidden entrance to a huge underground alien facility. He braves every gauntlet and monster and puzzle and giant super spider chase, and then Tom finally reaches the large triangular artifact that will reveal the way forward. The super advanced alien technology was so good that not even the most sophisticated scanners were able to detect anything but solid rock. It's a long trek to the next story beat, with Tommy Tom platforming up and down and fending off threats because every damn creature in this planet wants to eat him alive. He finds some of the primitive locals who scamper off at the sight of him and later actively impede his progress by tossing pebbles and being a general pain in the ass. This all changes soon enough though, after the Tomster becomes trapped in a singular duel against the terrifying Ultra Monster. After some strategic evasive maneuvers, he finds a mysterious control orb, and with it he figures out a way to be rid of the beast, and be hailed as the not-so-bad dude by the primitive tribe. The beast's pup, now orphaned by his hand, takes to following him around from this point forward. A cutscene ensues, beautiful and moving and terribly unexpected. Major Tom spends months, perhaps years, working on all the new information he has access to. In successive scenes, it shows his progress and the locals growing to worship him and the baby beast. The baby bee is growing into a hulking mass of helpful roaring. Something about the way the tribespeople decorated the wife Popsicle really hit home for me. Major Tom's adoration for her never fails to be heartwarming. It becomes clear at this point that this quest won't come to an end anytime soon. Our hero is in it for the long haul. By the way, all the while there's this mysterious figure following Tom, a blink and you missed it shady character that shows up after every momentous event and that he never even notices. I kept expecting it to become a plot point, but it never does. All you get is an after-credits scene to explain it in vague terms. It's just some alien keeping track of your progress so they can learn what's the deal with the hidden alien city. It was, quite the letdown. I did some digging online and it's actually a reference to Puzzling Dreams' upcoming game, Unlucky 7. Alrighty then, I guess that's that. Back to Tom's quest. After all his research, he finds that to receive the gift of eternal life, you need to find the Pyramid of Eternity in the hidden city. But first, you have to prove your worth. The map to the hidden city is written into 3 crystals. You must get them by doing 3 trials. And so he does 3 different temples, and within each one he gets a new ability to his nifty orb: telekinesis, shielding, and teleportation. All of these will be used all over the rest of the game to bounce back shots, move platforms around, and travel quickly around the land. Teleportation sounds way cooler than it actually is, because you can only ever travel to places where you've already left an outlined ghost. So you're not going to be portaling all over the place. So Tom gets the crystals, and so gets the map, and so he uploads it to his ship. He takes off, ever so hopeful, but something doesn't want Tom to make it there. It sends out a signal to a bounty hunter, which swiftly intercepts our hero's ship and blows it out of the sky. Crash landed in the desert, Tom now needs to deal with the bounty hunter and the dozens of drones he's deployed. Thankfully, this guy doesn't believe in getting his hands dirty, so Tommy gets plenty of time to take them all out, and with the help of his orb and complicated alien mechanisms, he blows up the ground upon which the bounty hunter's ship has landed, and so that problem ceases to exist. But Tom is now stranded in the middle of the planet, with a broken ship, and only the land speeder to get around. Our hero is undaunted. Years later, road-weary and with gray in his hair, Tom finally finds the location marked on the map. But he arrives at nothing but barren desert. The huge alien city of legend is hidden by some kind of cloaking technology, and this cloaking field is powered by 3 faraway generators. Each one is a large facility guarded by the most challenging puzzles and gauntlets in the game. And these are the ones that had me wondering whether I could actually complete this story. They truly felt like the boundaries of what I can figure out, and I was left terribly impressed by how original some of the stuff in there is. Anyway, back to the story. Tom finally deactivates every cloaking generator, revealing the alien city and the Pyramid of Eternity at last. The trip there is not without its troubles, but he manages just barely. Once inside, he braves all the security measures and gets to the pyramid, where death would have been certain if he hadn't been accompanied by his close friend. His sacrifice will not be forgotten. Now, at certain points during the adventure, Tom is either helped or hindered by a weird set of rotating lights. It seems like there are 2 distinct entities that want opposite things from him. The red lights want to stop him at any cost, while the blue lights have consistently helped him progress. They become prevalent once Tom enters the pyramid. The red lights are the security system. Before you can access your final prize, the security AI decides to blow up the entrance beyond repair, leaving a whole corridor length full of rocks and rubble between our hero and his goal. If you think he's going to give up now, you've not been paying a lot of attention. For years Tom digs, for years, until his hair is grey, until there is nothing but the tunnel and the prize at the other end. Years spent digging in this hallway, with naught but memories suspended in stasis for company. Fortunately for our hero, there eventually is light at the end of his tunnel. And there the blue lights finally speak to Tom through a series of terminals. We know what you seek. We will give it to you, if you free us. If you feel like there's something sinister going on at this point, well, you're not the only one. As I made my way down the hallway, I was fully expecting the blue lights to be some kind of monster trapped in a high-tech prison. But that was not the case, because following the blue lights leads to uploading Tom's consciousness into the mainframe, so he can battle the caretaker AI, and free the aliens from self-inflicted digital eternity. For that was the secret to eternal life. He defeats the security system and frees the aliens, and so he is given the choice. Upload his wife and his own consciousness to the mainframe forever, or follow the aliens to freedom. I know what I would pick. I know what most people would pick. But what would Tom choose? Did I mention the story is beautiful? Yeah, pretty sure I did. Of special mention are the completely unexpected time lapses within the game, all three of which were as sad as they were lovely. Going in, I thought it would be one continuous narrative without gaps in between, but in a couple cutscenes we see time pass swiftly, taking the plot from out-of-this-world adventure to long-term quest to lifelong tragedy, and possibly to eternal apathy. In my mind, this story remains front and center as the way's biggest accomplishment. Not to say that it's the only one. The game is nice to look at. It's one of those with good pixel art. Personally, I will enjoy something with more definition. Those pixels are kinda huge in places, but I can recognize the artistry poured into the visuals and the animations. It's good stuff. The music, though, the music is fantastic. It's so integral to the experience that it very much feels like a part of the whole. By contrast, the sound effects are there, not offensive, not stellar. They exist, and some, especially after dying horribly, are nice and crunchy. Overall, though, they're just good. They're adequate. I've had far worse, that's for sure. In addition to the story itself, all over the planet you may find Tom's memories of his wife. There are a few that don't really say much, but most of them are sweet, beautiful, poignant, or all of the above. Death in this game is swift and plentiful, and I very much appreciate the fact that respawning is instantaneous. No "you failed" screen, no bullshit waiting. Try again right away from the checkpoint, most of which are reasonable. In fact, backtracking through places you've already been is minimal, and in the one instance that this happens, because now you have the key to doors that you previously encountered you couldn't open, the game adds a lot of cool details to the trip to keep you interested, and now you have your hulking mass of roaring to help you through it, which makes it damn satisfying to traverse. The experience was fully bug-free, with one notable exception. Not a big deal, and a game restart fixed it right away, so it's a very well-polished game. Now the puzzles. With very few exceptions, the puzzles are great. I'm a bit hesitant to declare as much though, because critiquing puzzles objectively is an impossible challenge, I think. What's straightforward for one might be extremely difficult for another. So all I can tell you is that the puzzles in the way are perfectly within my range of enjoyment. Some are found easy, some real tough and satisfying, and while a few took quite some time to figure out, I was never stumped. I was real glad to find out that they were so great actually, because I was groaning at the start upon finding a shitty version of the grossly overused Tower of Hanoi puzzle. After going through the whole game, I can tell you that it grossly misrepresents the superb quality and originality of what's to come. What I think is most important though is that the puzzles never fail to make sense. No LucasArts moon logic happening in this planet. I can think of only one instance in which figuring out a puzzle was purely a matter of tedious trial and error. In this room right here, you have to find the right order in which to step onto the tiles for the solution to happen, and the only way to do it is to try every combination again and again until you find the right one. Though it's possible I simply missed a clue somewhere. I'm going to leave that possibility open, but I don't think I did. I think you just need to redo the sequence until you find the right one. So they're not all great. We'll get to that later, and in fact, I'm going to get into all the bad stuff now. But before I do that, I'm going to insist upon this. I loved this game. It's a great game. So I bitch because I care. Checkpoints. Oh, checkpoints, how I hate you. The checkpoints in this game are generally fine, but there are a few real stinkers. Checkpoint systems need to die in a fire, please. Are you making a game on PC? Then autosave at your precious checkpoints, and then let me save wherever I please. Your checkpoints will then become a godsend when I inevitably save inside a fail state. Just let me do it. It's been a staple for decades on PC, and whenever you take it away, I'm going to resent it greatly. On that topic, I mentioned there isn't a lot of Metroidvania type of backtracking, but within the levels themselves, there can be quite a bit. Running around between switches is just never fun. It's pretty mild though, certainly not intolerable. It's made better by the ability to teleport to places you left your imprint in, though the damn thing has a habit of disappearing on you if you go too far or if you switch powers. I felt real clever trying to save myself a bunch of times sometimes, only to be disappointed when the teleport didn't happen. The controls are alright overall, but there are some very clumsy actions. Jumping down several platforms in a row is consistently annoying, and the running animation is janky as hell. It feels a bit floaty when you try to gain momentum for your next jump, and I often fell to my death after a jump that I was certain would make it. This right here might be the biggest source of control madness. Tommy's clumsiness got him eaten more times than I bothered to count. It's not a serious issue, though. The majority of the time Tom did what I expected him to do. The one big exception is the shield ability you get later on. It's extremely clumsy with a weird recharge cooldown and the visual cues throwing you off track on how it's going to work. It was inconsistent and fiddly and I resented it. Thankfully, its clumsiness is only apparent in one big puzzle cave where you have to use it several times in rapid succession. Puzzles sometimes are hard because you don't know the objective of the puzzle. You don't know what you're trying to do, so it's a matter of fiddling around with everything you see until something clicks. Well, this kind of makes sense in context. After all, you are walking into an alien machine and trying to figure out how it works so you can progress. It makes for very frustrating gameplay. Thankfully, these puzzles are in the minority, and I only encounter them towards the end of the game. Here's example number 1. What do you think needs to happen here? Feel free to pause it, see if you can figure out the objective by just looking at it. Not the solution, just the objective. For about 10 minutes I moved these blocks around thinking I needed to make some kind of circuit to connect the two ends. Then I thought maybe I need to draw a pattern to match something in the room. Lastly, it dawned on me that you can move this block right here as well. Only then did I realize that the objective is to move the block with the light from one end to the other, which was pretty damn easy. I don't know, who's being obtuse here? Is it me? Is it the game? I'm blaming the game on this one, though I suppose I could be a bit of both. Here's another larger example for you. The huge alien city of Legend is hidden by some kind of cloaking technology, and this cloaking field is powered by 3 faraway generators. We cover all that, right? Well, to power down this one generator, you need to get down to the bottom of the tower. To get to the bottom of the tower, you need to overload this pipe with extreme heat. To overload the pipe, you need to turn the valves in the furnace. To access the valves in the furnace, you need to deliver a bunch of processed ore. To process the ore, you need to fix the rails for the transporter. To even get that far, you need to get past the security turrets at the bottom of the elevator, which was also blocked to begin with. During all of this, your stated objective simply remains: find and turn off the east generator. No indication whatsoever that blowing up the wall is what I was trying to do, and so it was pretty frustrating to run up and down this place fiddling with everything until the solution just happened. Not until the gas pipe blew up did I realize that that was the objective all along. It would have made a huge difference in my disposition to have that as my stated objective once I came across the goddamn pipe. It doesn't even need to be stated, like a simple comment from Tommy about the pipe would have sufficed. Oh, this pipe seems kind of vital to the integrity of this wall. Something along those lines. Doesn't have to be like specific statement of mission, just something that will point me like, hey, I want to demolish this wall somehow. It would have made a huge difference to the spirit in which I approached the entire section. And what do you know, this location looks familiar, doesn't it? It's also the place that frickin' checkpoint system is at its most infuriating. Run in, do things and die, restart from the entrance, move to the elevator, get killed by turrets, back to the entrance you go, move the transport later, die from fall damage in some random spot, back to the rail fix you go. Ugh. Checkpoints. Die in a fire. Well, I already answered the why I finished it question, but let me elaborate a bit. You see, I'm not much of a puzzle guy. If this game had been all puzzles and platforming only, I wouldn't have kept at it. I can get through it okay, but it's just not something that actively calls to me. A man obsessed with his departed wife though, a man willing to go to any lengths to get her back. This is going to keep me interested like you put a pair of bouncing titties in front of me. There is something deeply compelling about our hero's obsession. We never get to see why he is so obsessed other than he lost the wife. We learn absolutely nothing about her other than she's beautiful and she's a scientist, and I can only assume that this is entirely on purpose, the singular focus on Tom's enshrining of this woman as more than human. It is a recurring theme throughout the game, his musings whenever you pass her by, the way the locals will adorn her effigy, the way he enshrines her in the depths of the hidden city. You see his devotion to every chance, and it never fails to be touching. But there's something darker beneath, because you also know that it's so unhealthy. From the moment this man is digging his wife's grave and bundling her corpse in a blanket, you know this story is unlikely to have a happy ending. He remains determined far longer than I expected too. Assuming the Major is 30 when the story starts, the game takes place over the majority of his lifetime. Not once does he waver in his determination to bring his beloved back to life. There's some poignant stuff, man. So this is why almost from the very start I expected a much more dramatic tragedy at the end of the story, though in a sense there is about 1,000 versions of Major Tom dead in 1,000 different ways in the nameless planet. I did not hesitate at the very end when the game asks you to make your one and only decision. One was clearly the wise choice, the bittersweet, life is what it is choice. The other held everything Major Tom wanted at a terrible price. It is a bit of a policy for me to always make the unwise choice in video games that allow for it, because I find it terribly amusing when the game reacts accordingly to foolish choices. But in this case, this is the choice I would have always picked as the appropriate ending. Rejecting the offer, abandoning the quest after all that time, that's the Hollywood choice, that's the trite choice, the path you're supposed to take, wise in your years and finally accepting of the truth. Eternal reunion in a digital realm is the interesting choice, the natural ending to a man's single-minded obsession. After dedicating his life to it, Tom will never simply walk away. This is a man whose happiness is held in stasis a few floors above, and an eternity with her is exactly what he wants. And an eternity with her is exactly what he'll get. Much like his entire journey, passionate, yet foolhardy. And you know, maybe it's not even like that. Another way to see it is that he goes for it not because he's blind to what will eventually happen. He's not in denial about it. He simply believes that the reunion he's worked so hard for, the joy of becoming whole again after all these years, that ephemeral joy will be forever worth the eternity of apathy that will one day follow. When he takes his wife into his arms, Major Tom's eyes are open. So that was the way, and now you know why I finished it.